Hi, I'm Chris Charlie, and this is Hurting, Living, Loving, Healing. Today, we are going to talk about thieves or turning thieves into opportunities. What do I mean by thieves? These are anything that can steal time, resources, money, energy, emotional energy, joy, things that we give ourselves to, oftentimes subconsciously or not knowing. And it's just about being cognizant of these things so we can win back some of our time, emotional energy, not waste time and energy and resources on things that we don't need to. Um, Before we do that, we are going to ask ourselves a few questions just to get our brains turning. And of course, just like every other episode, we're going to start and end with love. So this week, let's think about the earliest example. And if you can't think about the earliest, think of the most consistent example or symbol of love in your life, whether that be your dog, your mom, your grandma, your cat, whatever. Um, for me, my earliest example, I was an only child. So my earliest examples were equally my mom and my dad. And my dad worked full time. I spent time during the day with my mom. So there was less of the egalitarian type of style growing up. Mom had the more traditional female roles. My dad had more of the traditional male role. And they were good at reminding me that I was loved. So that's mine. Um, and, spend a little bit of time if you do connect with that, letting that sink in, maybe after the episode or later on this week. Okay, let's jump into it. So, the first question that we're going to ask ourselves is really simple. What's our perspective? Are we more optimistic or are we more pessimistic? Glass half full, glass half empty? Are we catastrophizers? Do we tend to add dread where there isn't dread? Do we think about the worst possible outcome versus the best possible outcome? That's a good marker, because that's the story that we are telling our brain. Oftentimes, we don't have all the info. So we put these fillers in. And if the fillers are largely negative, then that's what our brain is using as context and foundation. And so, perspective. Am I generally optimistic or am I generally pessimistic? Um, do I try to change me or do I try to change the world around me to fit me? And I spent a lot of time trying to control people around me, and I realized that was futile and it was easier for me to work on myself. And, sometimes you're going to work as hard on yourself as possible, or you might try to change people, and neither of them happen the way that you want. So we move forward. Just something to think about. Do I try to change myself, um, or do I try to change the world around me? Maybe it's both. Um, Expectations. What expectations do I have for this world and the people around me, and are they realistic? Or do other people and things let me down? Um, and then when something happens, am I fanning the flames? Am I pretending like the flames aren't there? Or do I process the flames? How do I deal with things that maybe are out of my control? things that happen to me or things that come into my life. Um, that's something that I am constantly trying to be aware of because it's so easy for me to make more chaos and more drama in my life than there needs to be just for the sake of feeling sometimes even just belonging. I have to be aware of what I'm letting in those moments. Am I staying in my lane, and what does my lane look like? Um, and it's so easy for me to get overextended. And so, um, I know what I'm good at, but I don't always know. I'm not always good at staying, staying in my lane, which it's easy to get overextended. It's easy for me to get let down when when I'm not being cognizant of where I'm going, what I'm doing, what I'm trying to control, all those types of things. So, just a good question to keep myself honest. Am I staying in my lane? And then what does my lane look like? Um, if I have a problem with everybody in the room, does everybody have a problem? Or could I be the problem? And, just we never have a problem with everybody in the room, but it's just, um, there was a time in my life when I didn't realize it at the time. I was very disconnected and I was really, really just angry. And I felt like the world was going mad, literally mad, like angry because I was angry. And so, um, this is a good way to check myself by looking and investigating how I'm interacting with people, and are those engagements, are they pleasant? Are they unpleasant? Um, I I have a saying that 1-star people rarely give 5-star reviews. So if I'm feeling 1 star for a month and I'm just doling out 1-star reviews, is it that I'm in a bummed out mood, or is it that the world is really slipping that bad? So perspective. All right. So let's jump into the 6 thieves that we're going to talk about. Number 1, time and money. Now, these are on a scale, right? Because time and money are great things. When we get out of balance and overextended and we're trying to get more, money is freedom. Money is safety and security. Money is a lot of things, and it's really important. And if it becomes my focus, my one and only focus in life, then it means I'm way out over my skis and I'm making a whole bunch of compromises in other areas. And so, it's really important for me to keep money in the money lane, and everything else kind of separated from money, and keep it realistic, because it's easy for me and my personality to go chasing down um money or resources or things with these ideas, and then all of a sudden I've committed myself to something, and either I didn't think it through, or um I'm spending more time on it than I thought I was going to originally spend. So I've got to really focus hard for myself on pumping the brakes on things like that, because especially in today's time, if you watch YouTube for an hour, you're going to find 65 different ways to spend your time to earn money and get rich quick, or get rich somehow, right? So anyways, it's always interesting to see the next hustle, right? But I just have to be really cognizant of how I'm using my time in relationship to money. Um, Number 2, perspective. Again, this is very um balance driven. Perspective can have a huge influence on how I feel about the world in regards to fairness, security, safety. So I have to ask myself on a daily basis, am I being fair with my perspective about somebody or something? Am I using empathy to see what the people around me might be seeing in a particular situation? Because it's easy for me um to turn somebody into a bad guy with perspective because I don't have all the information, but my brain really wants to make a judgment call, right? So I have to keep my perspective on a leash, and it's okay to not know. It's okay to not know or not have made up my mind yet. So if I'm patient, the story will come, or if it doesn't, then it's okay. I don't need to make a judgment call. It's not my place to judge. It's just more healthy for me mentally to um to check my perspective from time to time and understand if I'm feeling um in a if I'm feeling down, why is that? And then how is that leaking over to other areas? And so perspective, that's number 2. Number 3, making constellations out of stars. This is the same thing as making assumptions or jumping to conclusions. Again, it's filling in the blanks with our own biases. And they can be true. I mean, we can make assumptions and they can be correct. Uh, Sometimes it's because it's just about time. It's just about, I've got to make this decision. I've got to make it quickly. I don't have all the information, but it all happens in a split second. And I think, okay, I've seen this before. This time, this event, this person, this thing is just like this last thing. So it's got to be the same, but it might not be. And so, um, it's important for me to not draw conclusions and make constellations out of stars when I don't have all the information, because oftentimes I'm the one who suffers. It's easy to make an error in something that has to do with work. It's easy to let somebody else down or, you know, not offer somebody the right amount of fairness because I don't have the full story or whatever the case may be. And ultimately, I'm the one who pays the price. Okay. Um, Number 4, entitlement. Entitlement is the belief we are inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. It's a it's low-hanging fruit for a path to joy for me, because if I'm feeling entitled, which oftentimes I do, I'm like, "Oh, I've put in the time, I've put in the effort, I should feel this way. I should." That to me is on the opposite end of gratitude, which is like entitlement feels like my insatiable void that I need to fill with these things that I am deserving of, but that are not there. So it has this kind of like hollow, empty feeling. Whereas gratitude feels like, oh, my cup is full. These are the things that it's full of, and I'm really happy for them. I'm grateful for them. I have things. I have what I need to survive, and then some. And I have love in my life. I have shelter in my life. I have people in my life. I have these things are that I'm not necessarily entitled to, but I have them, and so I'm grateful. And that's kind of actually taking it back to the perspective idea. It's a change in perspective for me. One, on the entitlement side can leave me feeling very empty, whereas the grateful side can have me feeling very joyful and blessed. Um, all right. So that was number 4. Number 5, people. People, people, people. Beautiful people. And beautiful people can also do ugly things. And ugly people can do beautiful things. And I found I'm like a naturally codependent person. Love a good codependent relationship where like my life and my partner's life is like intertwangled and it's like, hard to tell where one stops and the other starts and there's lots of love and it's blah, but it can get really ugly and messy in those situations and I can't leave it up to the other person to make healthy boundaries for me because they should be making healthy boundaries for themselves. So it's easy. And I mean, people that we love can expect more than we have to give in sometimes, or people that I love can, um, can set too high of a bar for me in any particular time, or can ask too much of me, or, so I have to be responsible for setting my own boundaries, or else I'll get resentful. And that's not fair to that person because, they're just on with their life, doing the best that they can. And so people and we've got the relationships are always give and take. So to have a healthy relationship, sometimes we give and sometimes we take. And that's the supportive part. And so just, you know, I guess I'm constantly reminding myself of um, people, not to sound shallow about this, but people are kind of like my toolbox. My hammer is good for pounding nails. My screwdriver is good for screwing in screws. But if I try to use my hammer to screw in screws, it doesn't work very well for that. And so people are kind of similar, right? There's some people that I know I'm just going to get the brutal truth. And there's some people that I know that they're going to tell me what I want to hear. And then there's some people that are just going to speak from a place of love. And depending on what kind of feedback I am looking for, I'll go to those people. And so um it's just a good way for me to check myself as I relate to other people and not get overextended, not let people in my life to drain um my energy in ways that I am not prepared to give. But I've done that a lot in the past. I've been overextender. I'm a people pleaser. I want everyone around me to be happy. I want there to be balance and love, and I'm willing to make compromises of myself to accomplish that. And so I just have to be aware of those things. All right. Um, let's see, where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 6. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Drama, right? The my version of my own evening news. Do I make other people's business my business? And do I make other people's problems my problems? And sometimes I don't even know that I'm doing this. Sometimes I feel like I'm empathizing and then 5 minutes of empathizing and I'm taking on this person's problem. I'm internalizing it. I'm like feeling it for them. And there's a difference to me between processing it out with somebody and then depriving that person of their own experience with that thing. And who am I to deprive somebody of their own misery? Because that could be a learning experience from them, for them. And so it's I have to make agreements and boundaries with myself so that I'm not taking on other people's problems, other people's drama, other people's emotional energy, because being a people pleaser. It's an easy place for me to be responding from. All right. Number 6, giving meaning to insignificant things. Pretty straightforward. Will I care about this in a week? It's really easy, especially with today, the amount of information we come by. My friend sends me an article. It's like, what do you think about this? This is crazy. It's so easy to not even use my brain, but then to attach myself to something that I'll spend, an hour on. And I'm like, I don't even care about that. And I'm definitely not going to care about it in a week. So I just have to check myself with things like that because it's so easy to get over involved, especially nowadays. And then the other one, this is kind of a bonus, which is piggybacking on giving meaning to insignificant things, which is false beliefs. And there's a lot of that: malinformation, misinformation, disinformation, like, and it's a really easy place for me to spend a lot of my time. I mean, between um, the UFOs and the Epstein files and Donald Trump next move and the war. I mean, who knows these days? AI, we live in a time that's really hard to know exactly what's true. And so that's a time suck. It's a time suck for me. And I have to be really cognizant over how I'm spending my time in that regard, because I can easily get sucked into something for 30 minutes and there's just 30 minutes gone. So um false beliefs, is it something that you really want to give time to? At the end of the day, time is our only currency we really have. And so I have to constantly remember that, because when something comes into my life and it's begging me, read me or listen to me or consume me, whatever it is, I got to be cognizant of how I'm going to engage with that, because I don't know if I should give it a part of myself. And just thinking about it is a step in the right direction, because oftentimes I just, you know, aimlessly be flicking and doom scrolling. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely not a better person after doing that. I just gave away a whole bunch of time. So let's try to get it back. All right. So the thieves were time and money, perspective, making constellations out of stars, entitlement, people, and drama. Do I make other people's business and problems my business and problems? Giving meaning to insignificant things, and then our bonus was false beliefs. All right, folks. Um, let's end with love. And how we're going to end it is that we are going to, if you haven't already, let's plant the seed. This is all about self-love. This particular moment is about self-love. We can always be a source of love for ourselves. So if you need a pick me up, if your head hits the pillow and you're feeling kind of bummed, say it out loud. Chris, I love you and I'm here for you. Whoever you are, try it right now. I love you. Chris, I love you and I'm here for you. Say it 10 times when you're done watching this and see if you feel any different. Plant the seed, be there for yourself, and then grow that with other people. Appreciate you taking the time. This is Hurting, Living, Loving, Healing, and I'm Chris Charlie. Have a good night.
Living, loving, that's the road I'm running. Every scar, every tear makes the picture clearer here. Shadow crack, let the light break free. Hurting, living, loving, that's the road I'm running. Every scar